Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Not as much snow as I thought there was going to be out there, but it seems to be relatively okay. So, I am working on this scene, which requires a lot more effort than I expected. All right, so we're on to one of the landing platforms where we have the kitty wake, and I'm setting up what I call a scene cube. The scene cube is a cube that's big enough that when I zoom in on it, it gives me just the scene, right? And not because if I select the landing bay, I get way out here, and that's hard. I have to. This is me scrolling in. You can see it takes forever to scroll in. So the best way to do this is to put a cube around the scene that I want to use, like this, and then go to the surfaces and set its opacity for 0, because it's still there, but you can't see it, right? So it still will select it, and I can still pivot the camera around here to get a good overview of the entire scene without having to worry about it as much. Because, for example, right now, we've got to take her and move her here so she can talk to that person at the loading ramp. That's what she's doing. Right. So the other thing that we can do when this gets too much of a problem, we can turn it off, and then it doesn't select either. And then I'm still docked in on it, but it doesn't exist. And I can scale it now. So if I scale it down, I can move the cube to a tighter position, centering on that, and that gives me even more range ability. So So if we look, from this point of view, you can see still amazingly large. I'm just going to say the ship is much bigger than I thought it was. Always is. Protocol is going to require him to be wearing a helmet, though. She doesn't need to. He's going to need to. And also, we should probably just add another lead. Because I can't see anything.
always wants to be in the sink when I want to brush my teeth.
You want to be in the sink when she wants to brush your teeth because you're a furry butthole. You're now a wet furry butthole.
Because you was in the sink.
Why are you in the sink? You passed. You're fuzzy fluff. Aren't cats supposed to eat water?
Yeah.
That's a given. I'm trying to lean into the sink. Maybe I can stretch. I know. But he is beelining. Oh, no. He had to itch first. But now it's beeline to the sink. I love the trot. Like trot. I don't know if I ever realized that the back piece of this is not quite as aligned as I thought it was. I guess it's okay. It's still weird. All right.
You can do that to anyone else who is satisfied.
What, get into your sink?
Yeah.
No, he does it to all of us. I mean,
right when I'm ready to brush my teeth. He knows exactly when I'm going to brush. He's very smart in his dumb way.
Yeah, he is. He's very weirdly cat.
All right, I'm going to go down.
So, see you later. I didn't realize they made a faceplate too. Man, my helmets are cool. I don't think he's in armor, just in faceplate and helmet. So I'm going to take this helmet and I'm going to just attach it to him temporarily. Yes, he's from somewhere. I just have to find it now. It's over here. So we'll just move it over here. And really what should happen is this. I should save it as a thing. Oh yeah, look at that. That faceplate's pretty cool, actually. Check it out. I'm pretty awesome with my helmets. Looks like something straight out of Daft Punk. You know? So what I will do is say save as scene subset so I can find this more often. And the props. I don't actually have a folder for. Which, you know, would probably also have, but I don't. Oh, for crying out I don't know. The male macaque has a problem with the eyes. It's a known issue. Like, once once it's pointed at, it apparently does not operate well anymore, which is kind of a bummer because it means that I have to kill the point at function because the eyes aren't lining in, or just not care, which is really what's going to happen. Is I'm not going to care because I don't. I'm just going to use this as a rough anyway. So this scene that we're about to embark in takes place between these two characters, and since it takes place with them going back and forth between the two, there isn't a whole lot of movement between the two characters. So I'm just going to keep changing my camera angle on it, and this is where the benefit of using kits comes in, because I'll just be able to keep the consistency of the characters without having to sketch them in again. So I'll be able to use a lot of good time on that. So I'll make up some time for this. But what I will do is create a camera close up on the marine. See you on the marine. Right, and then I'll just set this for a close up on our marine, like so. Now, actually, it's not going to matter either way. So we will Now when we as usual, the post controls, which is kind of frustrating because it, but I can at least tack in the, because really this is all I'm going to need for this particular thing. Give me a start on what's going on. Now I'm going to concentrate on composition, right? Because in the comic, we are looking at, this is this page here, right? What you looking for?
There was a little bottle of Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, downstairs on the shelf in the utility area by the back door, garage door.
You are so cool.
Mm-hmm. So he doesn't even want to talk to her. So we are making this dismissal. So let's look at the way that we're setting up this pose. Right? He's dismissing. So think about the dismissal here, where we want to give him the thumbs up, but not the thumbs up, which apparently I don't have the option of. So we'll do this and then fold down that pinky. Except that I might render the background. Good morning, Brent. Good news, everybody. Brent is here. Now this turns out to be the last shot of this scene. So I'm going to go ahead and render it as if it was the last shot. And then just put it in. Sometimes you'll come up with a render and it'll be the correct shot, just in a different way. The thing is, I don't want to get the whole background with him. I just want him in the laptop piece. But this shot I'm gonna want to be closer. So I'm gonna take this camera though, and we're gonna punch it. It's at 65 millimeters, but if we push it to like 28, we get a little bit more dynamic out of it. See how everything's getting a little bit more pushed and dynamic? We can push in a little bit more. And we get this. This is a much more dynamic look. I'm over here, George. Right here, as I've been all this time. Right? Maybe not that dramatic. Maybe to 35. So our eyes see at 35 millimeters. That's where we are, technically speaking, as far as depth of field and depth of perception. So if I push out like this, I'm going to give him a little bit more of a bend because he just doesn't care. And though he is a Marine and he is supposed to be like, being whatever, he's being very dismissal at this point in time to Mayrel because she's Deistati. And there is still prejudice about Deistati going on. So, hey, Sarge. Okay, I'll give you a holler a little. I'll give you a holler after I. Ooh. Hey, Sarge, it'll have to be about noonish. Is that okay? Because I have a curriculum meeting at 11. So as soon as I clear out of here, I've got to go straight into my curriculum meeting. So it'll have to be right after the curriculum meeting. Speaking of which, I probably ought to fire off Microsoft Teams as much as I hate Microsoft Teams. Okay. Okay. Hi. Let's broadcast Teams. Everybody, Microsoft, thank you for being useless. All right. Calendar. Switch Teams. Yeah, I just hate Microsoft Teams when it's dumb. And in this instance, it's being dumb. Oh, hey, Brent. At some point, I'll need your help on figuring out what we're doing with Discord because I set up the channel. I don't know how to set you up as like a person in here because I can ban you, I can kick you, I can time you out. But the roles that I can set up for you are a black square. Oh, I should add friend though. Anyway, so everybody hates Microsoft Teams. I know. But I also am not getting the other Microsoft Teams piece, which is something I need. There we go. That's the Teams I need. Everybody hates Microsoft Teams, but it is definitely the thing that we all use. And I have a curriculum meeting set for today at 11 a.m. And so I just need to set up to be in that so that I can join it when we get to that. The good news is Microsoft Teams does switch to this, but since it's right after stream this morning, I'm going to put it up there so that it is loaded and ready to go. So yeah, I will give you a holler at noon, Sarge. And we can chat for about an hour or so. Oh man. All right. Now that I've done this, I'm going to look. He's being dismissive. I want him to be dismissive. So I'm going to front and then bend it out and then twist it like this. So he's doing the, get over there. Yeah, it's not critical at all. But I did notice that when I went like that, I tilted my head. So looking at my picture up here, I'm like, he's like, get over there. He's tilting his head. So I'm going to tilt his head like that. GTFO. I don't want your ugly face here. I hate you. It's probably more true than it needs to be. But this is the last shot of this scene. So looking in here, that's this one right here. So he's but I'm also noticing that in this I've got a 2/. So 2/2. So that means that I'm intending on putting Mayrel here too. So she's got to be in this shot. So let's go ahead and adjust her correctly. So looking at her here, I could do 2/2 and still get kind of a good background in the background there of like she put down her. So let's close up on Mayrel. So there's where the camera is going to be. Mayrel needs to forward like so because she's standing not at attention. She's not really at attention, but she is trying not to mess with see you at 1 p.m. Yeah, it's not going to be nasty enough to even worry about it. The weather's fine. We've got less than an inch of snow. The weather will be okay. And a doctor's appointment. The doctor's. So I do want to body language with her. We want to show that she is slightly not dejected, but she knew she'd run into this. There's racism to some degree about the Deistati, and so she's running into it in a different way. I have coffee, and it is cold. My coffee, I put ice in. So I wasn't a coffee drinker. My wife is the coffee drinker. And what ended up happening one day was I was like, I just don't like hot drinks. Nekojite. Cat tongue. I have a sensitive tongue to heat. I don't do well with heat. So I don't like hot chocolate. I don't like hot coffees. I don't like hot anything. I don't like hot soups. I don't mind hot food, but the drinks I don't like hot. And it's just been a thing. Everybody's got their things. It's just weird. I just don't like hot drinks. So I've never really been a big coffee drinker until one day my wife said, have you ever thought about just putting ice in it? I was like, no. Like, I don't know. It's like, never thought about that. I used to, when I was in school, not when I was teaching, not when I was in school, they would make coffee for all of us because we had our tea lady had nothing better to do, so she would make coffee for all of us. So she would put coffee on my desk, and I would let it sit. I'd put a little piece of paper over it because there's so many frickin' bugs in Japan. I didn't want a bug in my coffee. But I'd put a piece of paper over it and let it just cool down, and then it'd get to room temperature, and it actually was pretty tasty. and I actually liked it, even if it was, instant coffee, and it was instant coffee. And now, having actually drank other coffees, I realized either they burned the coffee or it was instant coffee, but either way, it was unpleasant. It was just a brutal thing. So, anyway, that was what happened. And then I realized with my wife, she was like, hey, just put ice in it. Nothing wrong with that, unless you're Sarge, at which time there's something wrong with that, but only because Sarge said so. But that's okay. Sarge can think that iced coffee is unnatural. It's totally acceptable.
It is. I have been approved. I don't know if you want me to say on the broadcast.
I think one of these makes me ring. There we go.
The update is your face is still ugly.
Yep.
And nose is like a elderberry.
Or something.
Hi, Brant.
And Sarge.
And even though I make fun of Guy for his iced coffee, there are like 2 days in the summertime if I'm outdoors and I'm drinking.
Okay, so you can see what I'm doing with the body language here. I'm giving her slightly more aggressive. I'm moving her frame forward just a little bit. She is not impressed, but she also doesn't want to get into a fight with the Marine. So she's not gonna fight him. She's just going to, but I've leaned her in, leaned in her neck a little bit like this. So I pulled her neck in, but I've kept her head. I'm going to keep her head somewhat neutral, like so. Oh, Maya? Yeah. She doesn't actually visit Facebook anymore. It's become, she'll drop in rarely, but, right? Won't fight with Marines. Even this guy who's slightly portly. Don't fight with him. But it doesn't matter. She's not going to get anywhere fighting with him. It's not going to help any. But I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to expand his stance a little and set him up a little bit. So I use the maquettes to cut through a lot of the time that it takes to sketch a scene. But on the same token, if you're going to use maquettes, you've got to do all the same things you would have done in a drawing. And in this instance, I would have already set up this body language. It's instinctual to kind of set up this body language. It's a little harder to make the maquettes set up this body language, but you have to still do it, right? So you can see even in this shot, she's leaning into this and her spine is rolled in. So we're rolling her spine in and she's punching down a little bit. And he's doing the, really? You want to fight me? Because I'll take it. And it's, she's going to have to back out of this one. But his whole thing should be down. If we take the aspect down, as primates, this brow ridge was something we would hit each other with. It's not something that Homo sapiens do per se, but the other primates do. It's actually a little bit more damaging on Homo sapiens because we don't have as much brow ridge up here as some of the other Homo species did. We don't quite have as much brow ridge. We still headbutt, but it's not quite as dramatic. But either way, as primates, we tilt our head down so that we put that brow in the way, as in to say, we're going to hit you with this brow. Right? We just concuss ourselves. It doesn't help any. So, right? Fighting Marines is not a recommended course of action. Not only that, I mean, he probably doesn't have his sidearm on him at this moment. And the only reason he doesn't have his sidearm on him is because we haven't modeled the sidearm yet. But in theory, he probably does have his sidearm somewhere near him, probably in this little podium right under here, so that he can get to it. But that's only because in the Unity, Marines are the only ones allowed to be paranoid. Everybody else has to be like presume the best. But Marines are allowed to presume the worst. But they also stay under command of the captain. But this is a deck Marine. Biggest problem is at some point this gets so high it starts to ring through the system.
And if you mess it up.
Yeah, so every time I kill it, I have to remember that it doesn't go all the way back up to, it just goes up to like +4.
Yeah. You do that on my car speaker. Yeah. When I'm on the phone with you.
It starts to ring.
You ring. Which is funny because
I hate that.
The music doesn't. But in order to have you loud enough to hear you, I have to have you loud enough that you buzz the speakers.
Yep.
I'm thinking I might need to, if we're going to keep that car, I need to do some work on the stereo.
I was talking to Alex yesterday about the fact that if I use your, see you in a second, if I use your car as the guinea pig for replacing battery packs, we're going to do that to his car too.
What did he say about that?
He likes the idea.
Yeah, because he loves his car.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if we were to take his car to Aaron's too, you know Aaron. Once Aaron's going to want to get up to about here into your car anyway. Because Aaron's going to be like, this is going to be fun, and he's going to want to get into it, and he's going to want to mess with it. And he's never worked in electric before, so he's going to love the idea of getting in up to his eyeballs into that car. That's his nature. He is who he is. So I figure once we could probably get him to work on your car for free. Just out of the, oh no, I got to try this. So,
yeah, and maybe he can help us source the material too.
Right. I'm sure he can find us a 62 kilowatt hour battery.
Right.
And if we do, then your little 2015 Leaf will go 300 miles. Again. Yeah, it'll head to the Springs and back. In fact, we'll test it by driving it home from the Springs.
Because that's where Aaron is.
Well, we'll have to probably tow it to Aaron. So he'll have to bring up the car trailer.
Fast charger or somewhere in between.
Or find a fast charger somewhere in between. But either way, I mean, it's not a big deal. Well, we need to do something anyway. A battery pack still weighs in at almost a half a ton.
Yeah,
so I'm not just going to pick it up and haul it around on my shoulder. So
Sarah and I are just checking.
That's cool. So
anyway, I should go back downstairs and super glue some more things. I've got super glue on my fingers. It's annoying.
Yeah, don't glue your fingers.
There's glue on my fingers, but I haven't glued them to anything.
Like your face. Oh no! Now we got a problem. Yep. Back to work for me. Okay. Now, if we look at this scene, the thing about this is we render at a high resolution. See, that's pretty intense. That stare right there. She's looking at him and ecstatic about this whole thing. That's not bad. And I will leave the background on here as okay. Now, the question really is, earlier in this scene, I have them discussing stuff and I don't want the background. But for this one, he's signaling up the ramp and he wants her to go talk to the CO, the XO. He doesn't need to, the CO is not on board, but he needs her to talk to the XO, and the XO is up the ramp. And so he starts with, hey, go up the ramp. And she's like, you have a problem? And he's like, do you want a problem? She's like, not really. It's like, up the ramp, But part of this is he's not wearing bars. He's wearing bars. So there's a little bit of that going on. It's not cool here. He's being a dick. Luckily, he's Polaris. He's a Polaris Marine, not a Kittiwake Marine. Kittiwake Marines don't have a problem with her. Just Polaris Marines. And that is by design. There we go. Tack those eyes back in. And actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that face alone. And then I'm just going to roll this. Let's check our positioning. So this is page 23 at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is, welcome back. This is panel 7 on page 23. So the render is going to come out at page 23. Frame 7. Okay. So we're going to take a look and make sure that it loads just fine here. Our panel controls here. And we will say, one of my streams is exploding. Exploding streams. You can go boom. I don't know what his problem is. Yeah, it just, I get a warning that says, hey, one of your streams is screwed up, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we'll put this one in. Here's the panel we just rendered. I'll copy, put it into this frame here. And when I do, it ends up way up here at the top. And that's frustrating and aggravating, and I can't tell whether I want to fix that or not. I wish it was relative, but it isn't. Now I can't tell whether it's working or not. Right. Still not pasting in. Why are you not pasting in? There we go. Like, what's your problem here, Chief? Okay. And we'll rescale it. I don't need the whole scene. I just need enough that you can read what's happening, right? And we've got to give breathing space because, good, Commander Bennett over there. So there's going to be a text bubble right here. So we want to make sure that there's enough breathing space for that text bubble. So we can shrink this down just a little bit more. It probably should be Commander Bennett up the ramp, but we'll take it. All right. Now that we've rendered this shot in, I'll go on ahead and do that. This is the original scribble for this. The blue line is. So we're gonna look at this as a guidance. So looking at this panel right here, which is panel 1, 2, 3, 4, panel 4, he's being dismissive here, so we're going to change the pose for this. But for these, he's looking at her, she's looking at him. This is very subtle and very different, very, very subtle, so that we won't have to worry about it too much. So what I'm going to do is put it in close like so. Now, there's a technique in filming called crossing the center. And that is when you have two characters that are talking to each other, you never take the camera and cross through the center. You'll confuse your audience. So I'm going to have to always be on this side of him. No matter which way we do this camera has to always be on this side. Even if it's straight on like this, I'm still going to have to be on this side. Right? He doesn't need to have his arm up though. Although I'm just going to do close-ups, so I'm not going to change his arm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change his face and his face positioning so that when we have this, it won't be a problem. So he is still challenging her. So I'm going to keep his head tilted down, but I'm going to straighten out his head from its angle like this. I'm still going to have it tilted in like this. So he's still challenging, and because this is the next scene up. Sometimes they've got to go in backwards like this. So this is this panel right here. It's the do we have a problem, Lieutenant? And he says, do you want a problem? They're both the same rank apparently. So he's saying, do you want a problem? I'm going to give him just a little bit of a sneer, like, come on, come at me, bro. He's not a nice guy. We don't like him. Luckily, he's not Kittiwake. So remind me, if we draw this, that I'm not drawing the Kittiwake on him, because he's not Kittiwake. We'll bring up one eyebrow. A problem. There's this just reminds me that I want to do this. Bring his eyes down just a little bit, so he's still checking in on her. Right. I'll hit render. We'll take this one. And this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is panel 4. I tend to do all of these at the same time. So now he's going to be looking there. There's the control panel. I kind of like his sneer, so I'm going to keep the sneer. What does panel 1 call for? Let's look. Panel 1 calls for him to be screwing around with that's over there. So this could be a mimic of this panel in a lot of ways. The other thing I can do with these is so we're going to actually straighten. We're not going to straighten the bend on him though. We're going to straighten the twist. He's bent over his computer, so we don't really need to worry about him too much here. The biggest risk of using maquettes is that they're stiff if you don't actually put life into them. And you have to put life into them in this stage. This is where you've got to put life into them, which is fine. This is the same as people who sketch at this point in time. They'd be sketching in on this. So, putting life in at this point. Doesn't care about her very much. I'm specifically putting his eyes down. He's not paying attention. You closed all your doors, but I'm still here, Sarge. I'm still here. Okay, so this is frame 2. So now we've got you and you and you. Oh, hey. It's a small amount of sunlight. This is a good thing, because if there wasn't, my child, who did a brilliant job of neglecting to take his phone with him, is going to have to walk back in it, because he'll give me a call and say, "Dad, come rescue me because I can't say anything because I forgot my phone." So yeah, there's that. get this squared away. It looks a little dainty here, so we're going to probably square that up a little bit more so you're not so dainty. The keyboards in the Unity, the fat one. Well, I mean, like, legitimately, guys. I mean, I hate to say this, but you know what I mean? No matter which way you look at it, it's kind of the fat one. And that's not supposed to be anymore. I make myself sick doing this. It's not supposed to be any more of a knock against Probert. Andy Probert is brilliant. He also is responsible for the phenomenally beautiful Romulan. Oh man, the Deirdrix. Right? So he's also responsible for this guy, who is also really, really cute. Now that's kick butt. I'm not gonna lie, man. This is one beautiful trip. She looks great, even with this webcam. Look how pretty she looks. Look at how pretty she looks, little Romulan Deirdrix. The Deirdrix are so pretty. Okay. Enough playing with your toys. Get back to work. I totally... Okay, I'm about to make a confession. Right here, live broadcast, I'm making a confession. I've never really been that fond of the D in general. As far as design and shape and just who she is. I'm not a big fan of the D or the Galaxy class in general. Now, after 7 seasons of TNG and 2 seasons of seeing Galaxy classes in action at the Dominion War, I'm not going to say that I'm no longer, I no longer hold that grudge, but it's a begrudging respect towards a starship that the design never really grabbed me. It looked like a duck. It felt very strong when it looked like a duck. In the end, my favorite will always be this girl. She will always be the best. If I can, I will someday do a Star Trek Adventures based on the Thunder Child. Oh yeah, I saw that, Sarge. You had a cat attack, didn't you? I have a buddy who is phenomenal with those things. Um, the other one that's really pretty is the new Strange New Worlds Enterprise. And I'm waiting for round 2 to put out the Strange New Worlds. Yeah, it didn't survive the cat's paw. Strange New Worlds version of the Enterprise. And the difference between the Disco version of it, the Discovery version, and the Strange New Worlds version is very small, relatively speaking. But there is a difference, and the big difference is that all of the windows on the outer rim, the tall windows on deck 5, they wrap around the saucer section. So they come up the saucer and then wrap to the top of it, and you can see that in Pike's quarters. So when you look at Pike's quarters, all of those windows are wrapping around the set. And it's clear when they built the set, they were like, yeah, we should probably put this on the model. So they put it on the model. And now the Discovery version of Strange New Worlds Enterprise doesn't have those wraparound windows. So I'm waiting for round 2 to make a Strange New Worlds version, which has the wraparound windows. Then I'm going to light those up because I can then put little teeny officers' quarters inside there. And those windows, you'll be able to see into Pike's quarters. In theory. So, deck 5, officers' quarters. Yep, I mean it's still deck 5 as it's always been, and it's on the outer rim of the. Well, so deck 5, according to the blueprints, is actually one deck up from that. That should be deck 6 on the outer edge of the saucer, but they wiped out a deck by bringing the bridge down one. So I think all of us are just nodding and accepting it because really, even the most diehard Trekkies are having a hard time faulting the Discovery version of the Enterprise because she is pretty. Okay. Now, at this point in time, Mayrel has not quite decided that she's aggressively annoyed yet. So we're going to go backwards with this scene too. She's already in the aggressive stance. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to grab her eye target. So she's got an eye target, and the female maquette has no problems with this eye target. I just have to grab it. It's like 6 miles away. She was looking at the ship. Let's find her eye target, wherever the heck it went. Inside the ship. I don't hope there's any. Need more coffee. Nothing wrong with that. This doesn't bother me as much because my leads are female. And since all of my leads are female, the most important maquettes will be the female maquettes. So if I've got goofy problems with the male maquettes' eye targets, I'll just draw them in. Not only that, in anime and manga, male eyes are always smaller by far. So I can easily do corrections in drawing with this. So, all right.
I'm headed out. I love you.
I love you too. Be very, 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 very careful.
Yes, I gotta remember to charge today.
It's cold. You're gonna need your heater. This is the other reason I want to put a 62 kilowatt hour battery in that car. Don't think I won't get around to it at some point. Start tearing up that vehicle, because that's me. It's 57 volts and 3 plugs. I can do this. It won't even slow me down. The only problem I'm worried about is that the 2015 Leaf was not built for the 62 kilowatt hour battery. The battery will fit physically in the space, but the onboard PC won't understand it, and so it will do range confusion. Hey, love, are you doing laundry? Maya? Mariah? Mariah? She left, guy. Remember? Remember? She left you. She left you. No, I'm looking out here and there's these wafts of steam coming up from the side of our house. And I was like, she doing laundry? Or is the house on fire? What's going on? Oh, suddenly we're getting massive snowflakes. Like super huge snowflakes. All right. Now I'm going to bring the scene cube down because I want to bring this perspective in. Right. Turn the scene cube up because I don't need it. So now we're going to take a look at where we are here. Now we've taken her aggressive stance. Where's the other camera? You need to be on Miro. Right? Doing a 2-over means that we want to kind of get. You have to remember that these are very slotted spots, right? They're very high and wide, or narrow. Man, snowflake. And this is, do we have a problem, Lieutenant? That's this look. Do we have a problem, Lieutenant? Yeah. Still putting her brow down. Like that. She's trying to throw her weight around, but no matter what, she's Lieutenant JG. So she doesn't really have a whole lot going on in this other lieutenant. I don't know. Initially, I thought he didn't have any bars, but it says in the script he's a lieutenant as well. So I'm assuming that they're either same rank, but maybe different grade. But either way, he's not it's not necessarily the prettiest. Right. So this is 1, 2, 3. So this is panel 3. Like so. Emergency vacuum session. Gotcha. See you in a minute. Going here. We can take her eye target, move it down, over. Actually, make her look at the tablet control here. And then we will de-aggress her. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll bring her body back. These little subtle changes are going to make everything copy all over the floor. Oh no! Oh no! Sarge, you're supposed to have been caffeinating yourself, not your carpet. Just saying. Okay, take the pose controls here, and we're going to close your eyes a little because when looking down, people do that. Okay, bring up. Maybe to here. Trying to find the right spot for this. Maybe here. Now, coffee down, coffee down. This happens all the time with George. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 6. And now we're going to take and move this. All right. I'm intentionally using the same exact layout for this. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. So I'm using the exact same layout, giving her just a little bit of a change for this. And the reason is because, and you may not hear this because of the rendering, the reason we're giving the exact same layout is because I want feel of animation. Feel that she was doing this, and then she did this. It's very subtle, right? And that's one of the hallmarks that I do in my comics. So, yeah, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is frame 5. Now I will move his head down back to where it was, which was here, where he doesn't really care. Hey, Diggs. How you doing? How you doing, bro? Make sure we've got the suitcase in here. With you, we don't need the scene cube for this. We do need the scene cube for this. Let's go ahead and pop out the scene cube. Oh no! Good shark, I can still rough. Coffee down, man. Nope. We're scaling it, not moving, and that's not what I want. Go. We're just bringing over Navin, who needs to be sitting on the floor. Or Navin. Okay, we're going to turn off the scene cube. We're going to select her, sharpen in on her. Let's go ahead and set her body language correctly. She's not mad yet because this is the first panel. So I'm going to put her legs back together just a little bit more. People don't splay their legs out until they're annoyed. So we're going to put the legs back in. And we're going to put that outward. And actually, if you think about this, the way that people will have done this, she's got Navin in one hand. She was holding, in the page before this, she was holding her duffel over her left shoulder. So she had Navin in one hand and her duffel in the left. She's put both of them down in the last panel. So we now have her standing back up. She's reporting in. Hi, I'm reporting in for duty. So when you do, you stand up relatively straight. And she's been holding stuff, so she's probably not totally up straight yet. But you know, she's coming in and saying Mayrel Legend, Lieutenant Mayrel Legend reporting for duty. That's what she's doing there. So she's going to be, let's put her neck back a little bit. Let's put her straight up. We'll straighten her head. I'm just going to look at him straight on, right? Body language is absolutely key. So we want to take a look at where she is in body language on this one. So we're going to raise her just a bit. Both bottom of them. She's not at attention, so I'm going to move this foot back just a hair and bring it forward just a bit so that the knee is bent just a hair. And it's just enough to give movement and energy to the maquette. Right? Because if you look now, the leg is slightly bent. It brings just a little bit of energy in. Like she's just starting to kind of set something up, preparing to go somewhere and do something here. Rotate that out just a smidge. Her shin doesn't like to rotate as much, so the thigh will rotate more. So that. It still gives her a synergy that's still triangular. Women tend to be triangular in shape, so when they're at rest, they tend to move into a triangular position. Men tend to be square and square up. It has everything to do with the fact that the woman's center of balance is at her hips. And so the hips form a triangle to the bottom of her body because she doesn't have as high a center of balance as men do. Men have a higher center of balance, and therefore it frames up from the chest and the shoulders. And so we frame in a square. So when you frame up women, you want to kind of get them into more of that triangular shape going through this section of the body. So this arm is a little of bring it back. There we go. Bring it back. See you later. I'll call you a little later on, Sarge. So she's put down Navin. She's not mad yet. She will be. She's put down her duffel. So I'm releasing her hands. This doesn't take as long whenever I'm not explaining every last step of it. And she's probably got a small smile on her face, right? I mean, like, she doesn't think she's in trouble yet. She assumes everything is okay. So I'm going to take and raise her brow to give her a more open look and more friendly. She's being friendly to the Marine. She doesn't know she has to not be friendly to him yet. So we're gonna give her a little bit of a smile as she reports. I'm gonna open her mouth. Now, we all know I'm going to work on this one quite a bit, and I'm going to go in and redraw it. So the question really is, why do I bother putting all the expressions in on the face? And the answer really is that no matter what happens, I'm going to still deviate from that depending on how it goes. But sometimes I've noticed that I will get a corner shot where it'll be at an angle, and I will see that there's, some kind of deflection in on the cheek or something like that. Now, I wouldn't have noticed that before. If I had hand drawn this, I wouldn't have noticed that. And so that little detail is nice to add. It's a nice addition to it. So. Okay, let's take a look at where we are. Okay, so the call on the actual page itself is from waist up. But this is where you have to decide, who are we looking at, right? The lead to this is who has control of this scene, right? Down here, we've decided he has control of the scene. So I'm going to start with her having control of the scene. What does that mean? It means I'm going to take the shot here, and I'm going to come from this side, and I'm going to give her the control of the scene. And this is where we're going to be, like so. So the shot will be clearer on her than on him. It won't be as much of a problem. So we'll do that. Let's check her her eye target. She's trying to look him in the eye, even if he's being kind of a doofus about it. Right? She's trying to look at me. I'm going to get closer to that camera. And not the distant light. This one. I need to also remember not to use the Okay, so this sequence is wider than it is tall. So we're going to have a lot of room on either side. So I'm going to move the camera out like so, and then move it back. I'm going to take this camera and make sure it's located set to 35, right? Which it's not. Located set to 25. And we'll set the frame width a little wider, like so. Now, looking at that, I'm seeing things that don't make me comfortable. I don't like her hand positioning here. Should be there. Right, so we'll clean up the sequence a little bit more. And I feel like she should put and roll her shoulder back, like so, a little bit more. It gives a little bit more clearance in the scene. Go forward here, like so. There's a lot of work going on in this, right? To get this shot correct. As you come up with. And Diggs came and said something too. Now, this is the one where I'm not sure. So I'm going to take this one. This is frame 1. We're going to look at it in here. The other thing that's important is that this is going to dictate how this frame looks over here on page 22. So you're going to have to go back and repopulate that. So let's go back and let's take a look at that. Look at frame 1 here on this one, and I want to see just how much of this is not. Wow, I opened everything. That's right, we need them anyway. Oh my god, now I've just made you mad. There we go. Did you literally open every single one? Yeah, you did. You opened the entire directory. Oh, God. Why did you do that to myself? So I don't need you. I do need you. You don't need 12. Hang on, guys. We got to close. It opened every picture in the entire directory. So it opened every pre-pose for this entire comic. All right. And since there's obviously nudity involved in that scene because of the previous one, I had to do that for a moment there just so that we wouldn't violate the terms of service for YouTube, because oh my god, what would happen if we had nudity? Holy crap. Imagine that. Naked people. Imagine them. Think of the children. All right. I guess the only place I can do this is above. So now we look at frame 2, right? He looks nonplussed. Whatever. Keep moving lower decks. You get the idea. Right? Frame 3, is there a problem, Lieutenant? Let's see how this all has come together really nicely. For you want a problem, says this guy. He's a Marine and he's cranky, and I don't know, whatever. Something about cranky Marines. Now, in this instance, I'm going to pull in close because this is intense, right? But you want there to be a problem. All right, so I'm going to pull in really close. The camera's going to be doing a problem, right? Because you really want to. That's his problem. He didn't have any coffee this morning. Maybe his CO doesn't allow for coffee. What do you think about that? Right? All right. So we'll go to 5. I'll copy here. And you'll notice that again, I'm not crossing over that center section. But I am going to get closer to her while she thinks it through. Right? So I'm going to look closer at her because I want her to think it through. Right? She thinks it through. And she decides, no, she doesn't want to get into this. And at this point, I'll pull back out. Right? Even though I did make this to be like a two-piece animation, I'm going to pull out just a little bit more. You got him in the scene, right? So you can see that she's backing down to him. Right? Now I can pull out the blue line. You can see the page. And even though that took an hour and a half, it doesn't usually take an hour and a half for me to do all of this. Now I can close all of that. All right. Okay. So because of the nature of these, the other benefit of this is that I can go straight into inking. Because the maquettes are designed to be the blue line, if you will. So I'm going to go on ahead and take to my black pen. Try to get close. Here. I usually put up a picture from macros to remind me of how I'm supposed to do stuff. Right? Because I need to remember how lines are. Usually, kind of forgotten how to do lines sometimes. So I put up a picture from Macross to remind me of how the lines work, because I really like the line work that goes with and again, using the maquettes doesn't necessarily mean we have to absolutely follow what's going on here. In the instance of usually maquettes, I generally find they're a little bit rough on that. They're a little rough on the nature of the way that. So also the other thing that's very important is that our beloved Mayrel has more of this European, or this very Greek European nose. We're gonna come around this corner here. I said she's smiling a little bit, so a little bit of weight to the lines there. Right, and then she's got no reason to be mad yet, so I'm not going to make her mad. I'm not going to make her mad, man. I'm not going to make her mad. Her uniform, though, is sealed in case of an emergency or in case of emergency decompression. So I've got to remember to cross that in. We're spacers, man. We live all the time now in space. I'm going to give her just a little bit more eyebrow up because I want her to look open and accepting. And she's, as a person, she's open and accepting and tends to say things that are very, open and things like that because she's Devastating and they live by the story and she wants to tell a good story with her life. So, and she wants good stories told of her. So we're going to do that. And just come right here, and I'm just going to darken out this line just a little bit. I'm giving some variety of the line work here. Again, bring that through. Like I said, we've sealed up her collar, which is not something that normally happens, except that they are in a space dock. And in space docks, you want to make sure that you have your safety systems engaged in case there's any kind of explosive conditions. So, and also pull their ears out just a little bit more. Right? Yeah. You see, we've created sort of an open face. She looks more open, more accepting. She's certainly not feeling particularly bad at this point in time. And yet, give the Marine time. Because he's going to. And the other thing is the maquettes are effectively naked with just an overlay of this uniform. So we have to always kind of do some work around the outside edges. Because though it will travel this way, the uniform's actually going to pull back like this. And this is going to be more like here all the time because it's going across this zone right here. So when I come down, and she is wearing a service patch, so she can wear that here. And we'll clean up this. This actually does go down though. So. All right. So, see how this is wider through here? Yep. I mean, like, we're completely loaded in. If you look, we have all of the panels in. So they are loaded and ready. So it's time to draw in the lines. Put in our line work. When we talk about these uniforms, this is kind of pivoting around wrong. I should do more of this. And to make sure that I emphasize the way this moves around her body. Wow, that's way too much. The way this moves around her body, I'm going to try to pull out this curve that's come in from the problems because of the control here. So let's go ahead and undo. Just want this to be more like the curve of her body. Even though I'm using the maquettes, I don't always rely heavily on the maquettes direct because sometimes it just looks better to do it some other way, right? The maquettes just give me a guide. Like I do need to know that the emergency stripe on her uniform goes here and goes to there. And we're thickening out the line a little bit here just to give some variety. Okay. Again, we've got the emergency stripe. We've got her pockets. So here's the emergency stripe, which runs like so. Like so. We'll come up like this. And then down like so. And give it a little bit of a curve. It doesn't actually exist because it looks nicer. The other thing is she's got an elbow right here. Right, so if I come out a little bit there and define that elbow, it looks a little bit more realistic. The maquettes miss a little bit. They're not perfect. So you still have to use your anatomy skills and things like that when you come around on these things. That's actually something I've been learning a lot on YouTube videos, is that even though we're using the maquettes to cut a corner or two here. And the major reason we're cutting the corner, of course, is because I want to get this done sometime this week. Because this guy can go to print if we finish him in time, and then we can have 3 comics on the table instead of just 2. Like so. Yep. We're meeting in about 10 minutes. So he also has the now if we turn off that, you can see what the end result is, right? Looks nice, it looks solid, makes for a good scene, looks great. And as long as I keep a picture from Mikimoto up here, I remember to variegate the lines, make them varied, make them move, things like that. I do need to do a couple of small things in here, like I need to make sure that in this section that this is sealed. The sealed pieces. But either way, this is still super fast. This. We'll have to come up with a Polaris patch by tonight. Move her lips out like so, giving much more line in here like this. And it gives a little bit more a line out the outside edge there, but that's all right. So, like so. I'm going to leave a little bit early this morning so that I can go change shirts, because I've noticed that when I'm at business meetings, I should bring a collared shirt, even though I hate collared shirts. So I'm going to have to go fetch a collared shirt and put it on. So I'll go put a monkey shirt on, and then that'll be fine. And then I'll come back to finish this page, and I'll probably try to finish this page before tonight, simply because it would be nice to have it done. But that's the way we ink it. The only thing I'm having a problem with is her right breast seems to be like not quite as aligned as I'd like it to be. And it's only a small thing. We'll move this out just a hair. And that gives her more of a, it's spread out just a little bit more. Yep, I should look professional, even though we all know I'm not. Deep in our minds. We know. Maybe. I'll see what I've got to do. I've got about an hour between this and my doctor's appointment, so it's going to be kind of a, we'll see what happens. I like setting up the maquettes, and I like talking it through. It helps a whole lot. So we'll see how things work on this one. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad idea. I take the kid to the karate. And you're right, I could do the line work sitting at Starbucks. And then piece of that. Save this page. And we are OOH. Guys, we are OOH. I'm all washed out. Look at this. Like, totally so cool. You wouldn't know if I was winking at you because you can't tell because it's all washed out. How would you know if I'm making faces? Okay. It's another Spaceballs reference. Shunk. Because Spaceballs is awesome. Yep, I'll be on tonight. I hope you're with me, Brent, but I know sometimes you conk out and go to sleep, so there's that. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Anyway, I will see you all later. Have a wonderful day, and as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.